let's jump back over here. We talked about some game reviews and Twitch. I think I can surmise that for both of us, the main thing we've been doing, I'll just say, like, I think my main game has been Diablo this past week.
Oh, yeah,
So I have a seasonal character. You're playing a character you've made before on the Eternal Realm.
Yeah, I'm playing my Eternal Realm sorcerer that I stopped playing, I guess, once season 1 came out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you about season 2. Let me tell you about the story first.
Oh, I heard the story was bad.
It's a thrilling tale. You get vampire powers because a master vampire just like gives you some powers. So like there's a vampire hunter that needs your help, but is constantly worried. They're like, you're going to be just like that big bad master vampire because you're getting stronger. Well, what ends up happening is the only solution to stop the master vampire is you got to get as strong as the master vampire. I know. You're shocked. You're shocked. So you have to do the same kind of stuff. You have to gain strength and power. You have to develop your vampire skills. And then, through it all, you kill the master vampire.
And that's it.
That's it. There's no twist. There's no turns. You just...
There's no, like, the girl at the end doesn't go...
Nope.
With great power comes great responsibility or some nonsense like that. Like, you
No.
know, okay, now that you've killed the master vampire, you better not turn into him.
I mean, she's constantly echoing, like, oh my god, you're scary. I'm not sure I should trust you. And I can't seek help from the cathedral because they're not going to do anything. So I guess I have to trust you. And then in the end, when you kill the master vampire and come back, she's like, oh, I guess you were right all along. I guess I was wrong to not trust you. You seem all right. That's it. There's no twists. There's no like, haha, you did exactly as I wanted you to do. And then bursts and explodes into like a crazy vampire, like the actual vampire master that only wanted to kill the other one that you killed because like he was getting in the way or something, and she couldn't do it because like of some there was like a barrier or something she couldn't get through. So like you did her dirty work. No, there's none of that.
Yeah, that sounds really boring. I mean, it sounds like they tried to put in the moral dilemma, like the quote-unquote moral dilemma with like, oh, you're gaining vampire powers to beat the master vampire, but, you know, maybe if you grow too powerful, you know, and you get power hungry and then you turn into the master vampire. Like, it sounds like they went for that, but they didn't execute it well.
There's no point at which you start to lose control and like you go into like a blood frenzy and you go into a random small town, murder everybody, and then have a moral dilemma. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Though, should that have happened? Yes.
Probably that would have been more
Yes,
interesting.
it should have happened. It should have happened. There should have been an actual moral dilemma in this story, which is at some point halfway through, you start gaining all this power, and the thing that's helping you, it's like a weird skull. I don't know exactly what the backstory of the skull is again, but the skull's like probably another vampire skull that you found that's like magically imbued and the skull should be like, you have to get as strong as the other guy, and then you get as strong, and like you then lose control, blood rage, blood frenzy. You kill a bunch of innocent people. You come back to the skull. The skull's like, ha ha ha. Looks like you got the power you wanted, but at what cost? And the vampire hunter lady's like, oh my god, what did you do? Like, I can't trust you. And then you have to like redeem yourself, and then you go kill them. No, there's none of that. You think that that's there? This was written by a 5-year-old. And a 5-year-old said, there's a big bad vampire and you gotta kill it. And that's it. There's no twists and turns. It is a straight line. And I will say, somehow, some way, it is as bad as the first season story. They need to get an actual writer in the room.
That actually sounds worse than the season 1 story, because at least the season 1 story, I don't exactly remember what happened, but Kanye had a dilemma with like
he did
like where his town that he came from or something like that, and he like destroyed the whole town with
Yes.
whatever malignant power. I don't exactly remember what happened,
Yeah.
but at least like Kanye was like more interesting than this
Yeah.
random vampire hunter
I guess
lady,
it is
right?
worse now that you
Like,
say that. So
it sounds
they
worse to me. It sounds even more generic.
they need
Like,
to hire a few writers, like actual writers, not themselves. Like they can't. These people can't write. Like
the writers are just like the developers.
it's just the
Just the developers'
developers
children. It's just their children.
and look. If you got to get me in the room to tell them, I'll tell them, guys. You're great. You're doing a solid bang up job coding the game where all of us have to load in our stashes at the same time, but you can't write. So what I've done is I brought 2 writers in for season 3. We're gonna write a story that lasts more than 20 minutes. Okay, we're gonna write like a couple hours worth of actual story. Because by the way, the quests in this season, it's not like these guys need to understand something. That you can't just like have a quest be go beat a dungeon. You have to do more than that. Your quest has to be more than that for your season story. I don't want to just go through a dungeon I normally would have gone through as a part of my mission. All you do is you just go through the same stuff you would normally do. There's that blood harvest, like part of the map that's supposed to be kind of similar to a Helltide, right?
Yeah.
Like part of the story is like, yeah, just go there and activate the thing you would normally do in the season. Like, and I'm like, guys, can we just do more than that? Can we do a little bit more and have actual like new stuff? They do like an actual new quest. It just feels like all I'm doing is doing normal stuff that I would have normally done. Like I want to do more than that. I want to have like a new like generated small town that I go to as a vampire after getting stronger, and I want to slaughter the town. And then the town becomes vampires or something like that in the world map. Like I want to do that. I don't want to just like get a mission from the vampire lady and the mission is just go beat a dungeon.
A dungeon that already
exists.
in the
You'd
game.
already beat it.
It's not even a new.
It's not
dungeon.
new.
Like,
I just want new stuff. Like give me a new dungeon that is only there because of the season story.
As the ghost question, I bet you the writers who worked on the main story are working on the expansions and not the seasons. The season teams are like completely different than like the main game team. I think. Like,
I don't know. I guess what I'm getting at is, can we get one of the writers? I just want one, and get one writer. Don't make me do like the same stuff I would have normally done, just messing around. Like, give me something that I would consider different and off the path that I normally would have taken because the quest is asking me to go there. Like, I think that's missing. Like, I just don't want to fight the dungeon that I normally was going to do anyway because I wanted the aspect. You know, like it's like I would have done this anyway. Why'd you like you gave me a quest here? Like, this isn't interesting. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do a dungeon, right? I don't know. That's my analysis on season 2. I think the vampire powers are cool. At least like they got some cool flavor, and I don't think they're overpowered. Like I don't think they're overbearing. I think they add some flavor. I think they can be really powerful as you level them up, which takes time. And I think they're interesting to manipulate within your own build. So
yeah,
I'll say that. I like the vampire powers is a good idea.
Yeah.
And
I've heard the vampire powers are cool and
Yes.
much better than the malignant heart
Yes.
from the first season.
God,
and I've
yes.
heard the blood harvest area is way better than like the
Yes, it is.
collecting the malignant heart, like the malignant tunnels and
Yep.
collecting the malignant hearts from season
Yep.
1, because it doesn't take forever. You don't have to kill the elite and then click on the thing and then wait for the elite to respawn and then kill the elite again and then pick up the thing. Like, that was fucking annoying.
The blood harvest area is like 10 times better than that. It's so much better, to the point where I'm like, yeah, just do more of that. Just do that. Like, it's like I don't remember how long the area lasts. I think it's like an hour.
That's the same as Helltide, so it's probably an hour.
Yeah, it's like an hour.
But it's not like 1 hour on, 1 hour off like Helltide.
No,
right?
it just moves.
There's always one.
There's always one. It just moves, which is great. I'm like, okay, good. And you can like, it gives you tons of experience to do stuff there. Like you can get crazy loot if you save up and you open up the big blood harvest like event. Even with people, like it gives a shit ton of loot. So it's great. Like as soon as I did it and I saw it, I said, oh yeah, I could see myself grinding this area a bunch as opposed to going to dungeons. Like I was just thinking the whole time, like, yeah, I could grind this area. Like this area is really great for early leveling. There's tons of enemies, tons of items, tons of drops. You can still get stuff for the Whispering Tree. So yeah, I was thinking like, yeah, I'm just gonna grind here. Like, why would I go anywhere else? Dungeons are great for aspects and they're still good for grinding, but this area is great. Great for grinding, and you can increase your, like, there's like this bounty hunter level thing where there's like rewards for increasing your bounty hunter level, so you can get some rewards. So the blood harvest, they incentivize the blood harvest well. I'll give them credit. Incentivized well. So anyway, I think the season is, besides the story, I think the season so far has been really fun. I'm super glad I made a seasonal character. I'm guessing on the Eternal Realm.
You're playing Sorcerer, right? You're playing like Lightning. Are you playing Lightning Sorcerer?
On the Eternal Realm, do you see the Blood Harvest area? It's kind of a seasonal event. So, yeah.
It's not there.
Yeah. So I would say, here's my analysis of the whole thing. So the season ends in January. I recommend, if you're playing Diablo right now, I would actually recommend playing this season. I think last season, I would have said, no, don't play that.
Last season one was pretty crap.
Yes.
It was pretty crap.
I won't say the season is like God tier, but it's definitely better than season one for me. So I would say play this season for people who would have like the time and are interested. I'd say play this season. This season's been fun so far. I'm happy. And that's my analysis of Diablo 2 season 2. I'm sure you wanted to also talk about like the quality of life improvements and how you're feeling so far, but I just wanted to specifically talk about season 2. That's all I have to say. I think it's great. Yeah. I think you should like.
And that's generally what I've heard from like, content creators and stuff, is that like season 2 is a big step up from season 1. I heard the story was still crap, which is what you said. So that's whatever. That's fine. Yeah. But I heard it's way better than season 1.
Yeah.
And then the quality of life improvements are quite nice, in my opinion.
I agree.
There is still, the 5 new bosses are like cool and nice, but they are not like really in-game content. They're like another thing to like grind, where you can target farm for certain uniques if you're looking for a particular unique for your build.
Yep.
And it gives you a reason to do the different parts of the end game, like Whispers or Helltide, Nightmare Dungeons. And like the Legion events and world bosses. Those are the things that like drop the material, the 4 things that drop the materials to summon the 4 out of the 5 bosses. And the last boss, which is Duriel, requires materials from 2 of the other bosses to be able to summon Duriel.
Okay.
And Duriel's the one you really want to beat. He's level 100. He's the highest level boss. He drops the best loot.
Of course.
Obviously.
As he should.
He's the only one that drops the Uber uniques. Apparently, I've heard of some people getting Uber uniques off him. The drop rate I don't think is that good still, but it's actually possible to get them, as opposed to
before.
Not at all. And there's like, I'm trying to think. So the bosses are Varshan, who is the season 1 baddie, and you unlock him through doing Whispers. The annoying thing about Varshan is it requires like 4 different materials, like one of 4 different materials to summon him. and you can just like get screwed and like one of the materials doesn't drop and then you
Yeah.
can't summon him.
Yeah.
The other ones all require just like one material. You just need a bunch of them. And then Duriel requires 2 different materials, but those always drop from the 2 bosses that you have to kill to get those materials.
Sure.
So that's the annoying thing about Varshan, but he's the lowest level one. I think he's 75. And then you might be able to fight them in tier. I think you can fight them in tier 3 as well, but my character was tier 4 already. So and I'm sure they're lower level in tier 3, except Duriel. I don't think you can fight Duriel in tier 3.
I imagine no.
He's only level 100. Then there's where are the other ones? There's
I mean, is the new season boss one of them?
Yeah, Lord Zir.
Lord Zir
is one of them. He's level. I want to say he's level 80. Maybe he's level 85. I don't remember. There's Grigor, who's this just like big knight guy. He's this like lightning boss. There's a bunch of like lightning pillars that you have to like weave through. The problem is for most of these bosses at the point that I'm at right now, I don't really have to do the mechanic. You just like kill it. I just kill it. It takes some time because my build I'm a like dot fire sorcerer firewall build, so it's not great for single target, but even against these bosses it's like pretty quick. And then there's the beast in ice, which is like the model is just like the very first boss of the game. It's just like an ice version, but the attacks, he's got a bunch more like ice based attacks, and there's like some mechanics you have to do. So I appreciate the effort. Again, none of them are too difficult, especially if you get once you get your resistances up. I've died the first time I did the beast in ice. I couldn't clear it because that one is done as a nightmare dungeon, and so you only get 4 revives in that.
I see.
So I died 4 times, and yeah, it was a fail.
Yep.
And I did beat Duriel as well last night.
Okay.
Which was also like it was pretty cool. He does a lot of poison damage, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
But I have like nearly max resistances now. The new resistance system is definitely much better. It's something you can like work towards with your character, maxing all your resistances. I have 3 out of the 5 are maxed out. The other 2 are like 63 or 64. I think 70 is the max.
Okay.
But none of them are like that difficult, and I haven't fought her yet, but like I may try Uber Lilith once I get to level 100, because I've heard they toned down Uber Lilith a bunch and she's a lot easier now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I've heard that like the game's just like in general a lot easier now. They toned a lot of things down, which is like, it's fine, I guess. They made a lot of balance changes, so the balance was going to be off a little bit, but I don't think it's that bad. It's probably a little too easy, but that's okay. I'd rather be too easy than too hard.
Yep.
It's an ARPG. It's a power fantasy game, so you know. Yeah, but really the big thing is there's still really nothing to work towards in the end game. Like once you have a fully built character or nearly fully built character, like Uber Lilith is the only like thing to work towards, and I guess Nightmare Dungeon like level 100, but I don't know. I've heard that's not bad either now. Again, I haven't like tried pushing Nightmare Dungeons that far, but yeah, and that's like the main thing that this game needs is like more of an end game progression, more things to do in the end game, more content to like work towards and test your like uber powerful character out on. Itemization changes, I think, are good.
Yep.
I heard one content creator said that he doesn't like the crit and vuln changes, which I just don't understand at all. I mean, I guess I understand what he said, but I don't agree with it. he said that like basically now it just makes the items like too homogenous, where it's like before if you found an item with crit and vuln on it, you were like, oh man, that's the nuts, like that's what I want. And there's like no, because now all of the additive stats are just like completely homogenous, right?
Right.
It's just like they all kind of do the same thing. But I disagree with that because at least for my build, like I use a dot build, but the on the Paragon board, the burning damage like increase node requires higher crit damage. So I want as much crit damage as I can. So I'm still looking for crit damage. I don't care about crit rate because dots can't crit.
Yep.
But crit damage is really important because my multiplicative damage scales off of crit damage. So I want that. So I'm looking for that. And I've definitely, you know, found items that I'm like, all right, that's like a big upgrade. I really want that. That has basically or close or exactly the stats that I want. So I disagree with this point because there's still certain. I agree that like the additive stats are just like boring and they're homogenous and they just don't really do anything. You just look at ones that are good for your build. For mine, again, it's like burning damage or damage over time, crit damage, mastery skill damage, fire damage. Like those are kind of like the main ones that I look for. And then obviously like intelligence and all stats and
of course,
attack speed on gloves, and then like ranks of firewall. So, you know. So those are still a little homogenous. I'll agree with that point, but there's still like, you know, I don't know. You can find good drops, and you get more. I felt like I've gotten way more upgrades than I used to because they changed the item level. That first of all, they increased the max eye power that you can get, which is 925 now.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it so that as you level up, the range of eye power that you can encounter just increases as you fight higher and higher level monsters. So you're going to be seeing less lower level eye power and more higher level eye power.
Yeah.
So the items just get better as you level up.
Yeah.
Which is how it should be. Whereas before, you could just get really lucky at like hop into tier 3 at level 70 or 75 or whatever, or even sometimes earlier, and find a eye power. Before it was like 820 or so, I think was about the highest you could get. You could find like an 820 nuts item at like level 70 or something, and then like you never found an upgrade again in that slot, which is like, it's cool in a way, but then it's not in another way, right? And I think that can kind of still happen, but you can't find like the max eye power. The other thing is the world bosses and the uber bosses generally drop really high level eye power items.
Mm-hmm.
So like I found it doesn't have exactly all the stats that I want, but it was really close. I found a 925, which is the max eye power wand, which is the weapon that I use from a shop. It was one of the world bosses. I think it was a Shaba, but I don't remember. With like crit damage and int on it, which are like two of the things that I want on my weapon. So that was pretty pog. So doing world bosses is very much worth it now. The world bosses drop materials for summoning Lord Zir.
Yeah.
And they drop generally like really high, like high 800s or 900 like eye power items. So doing the world bosses is really good now for high level loot. Again, no guarantee you're gonna get the affixes that you want on it, but if you do, you're gonna get a really good item off of a boss.
Yeah, so, of course.
And they buffed the world bosses. They have a lot more health. They have a lot more health now. They don't die in like 15 seconds anymore if you have a good group. It takes a couple minutes now to kill it usually. Yeah, overall they're making also the leveling process is just way faster.
It's so much faster.
Painful to. It used to take like pre-season 1. It would take like I don't know, 10 plus nightmare, 10 to 15 nightmare dungeons to like get one level at like 80, like at the high 70s, and when you got into the 80s. Now I pretty much, most nightmare dungeons gives me about a quarter of a level.
Jeez.
So you get a paragon point basically every time
Yeah.
you get do a nightmare dungeon.
Yeah.
And they way increase the amount of experience you get from like whispers and opening chests in Helltide. Nightmare dungeons, I think, is still the most efficient way to level up.
Mm-hmm.
But the other things in the world give you a decent amount of experience now too. So the leveling experience is much better. I've gotten from level 82, which is where I started when I started playing this season on my Eternal Realm character, and I'm 96 and a half. I'm like halfway to 97. So I'm hoping I can actually hit 100 today. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, just
and I've gotten some really good items. Again, there's a point to doing like whispers and Helltide, nightmare dungeons. All the things have a point to do now because it's for summoning the uber bosses, which give high, like eye level gear and some uniques, and then once you do them, you can do Duriel, who gives kind of the best loot. So you want to kind of keep running that stuff and like do Duriel as much as you can, so that you can get the best loot off of Duriel. Again, there's still not enough in-game content to like test your build on, and you'd like more of a like progression system with like doing nightmare dungeons. You have glyph leveling out of nightmare dungeons, which is something, but you know, apparently like PoE and Last Epoch, they have some like sort of like passive tree or like a whole thing that you're like working towards with like their version of nightmare dungeons, like maps in PoE, and I forget what it's called in Last Epoch, but it's something similar, where you're like progressing through this tree and getting new stuff. And so there's actually a progression system to doing that. So they need to work on that. And apparently Joe Shelley, who's the game director, said in one of the streams that like that's what they're working on primarily for season 3 is more in-game content. At least the main content team. I'm sure that season team is working on whatever the season is gonna be. But so yeah. I think the game is going in the right direction. I think it's a lot more fun now.
Yep.
You level up faster. There is a bit more to do in the end game. There's, more. You find more item upgrades. You level up faster. The bosses are like, I think they're a little too easy, but they are like, there's actually old mechanics to them. It's not like fighting Tomb Lord every time, and like the dungeons, the bosses are more interesting than that. I may once I kind of finish up my Sork here, I may try a seasonal character as well, because I've heard good things.
It is much better. This season is much better. I could not stand the go clear a dungeon, go back to town, scrap all your stupid things that you picked up because it takes up all your inventory, and recycle that. Now at least when you get the upgrade materials for your vampire powers, it's in a completely different part of your inventory. It's in a seasonal kind of inventory. So it doesn't take any space up. So it's like more manageable to do a bunch of stuff while collecting your seasonal currency, which is there's like multiple currencies here. You have the blood that upgrades your powers, the blood that you can use in the blood harvest, and there's keys to open chests there. There's like various currencies you can use. So it doesn't take up too much of your inventory, which means you like don't have to constantly worry about that. In addition to the items you're picking up, it's less going back and forth to scrap and more like just focusing on doing what you want to do for a while, and then dealing with your items after a much longer session of trying to either level or do some dungeons or whatever. Like it's so much better. So I'm like really glad I tried to do a seasonal character. I think it's better. The horses are better. I think they're
Oh,
faster.
the horse is
The
way
horses are
better.
better.
It's way faster. The cooldowns are shorter.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize that enough.
The horse was so bad before.
It was really bad
season.
before. Having the gems go into a different part of your, you know, your inventory and your materials is so much better. It is the right direction. So I think this was a positive direction. Season 1 did not feel like a good positive direction at all, and I mean the community said that.
Well, because they also had the big nerf patch right before they that the season 1 patch was the freaking nerf patch.
Was the nerf patch, and that didn't feel good. Obviously, none of that felt good. And now you come into this one, and you're like, okay, the season's better, story's still bad, but season's better, season content's better. You've got a bit more to do in the end game. You've got a faster leveling up system. Your horse is faster, so you can move faster. I'm seeing a lot of more positive is kind of where I'm getting at, and it feels really fun, and it's exciting to level up faster. You know, it's not too fast, but like it feels better leveling up faster, and I felt like I've leveled up really fast so far. So, like for quality of life, I can't say too much about anything in the end game because I'm obviously not there yet for season 2. But for all the other things that I knew about, I mean, like I don't everything. Like 90% of the experience has been positive for me. So that's kind of what I've been focused on. So that's why I've kept playing. If I had stopped playing, it's because the season was terrible. So I'm excited to jump back in as well and continue to level up. Obviously, I won't be grinding as hard, you know, as some others, but I've enjoyed playing it. I'll keep playing it because it's been really fun so far on when I'm not doing other stuff. But yeah. I don't have anything else to say about Diablo, if I'm being perfectly honest. Everything's been really positive, so I've been happy.
Yeah,
outside
definitely I would say this was a really good patch and a really good season. They've taken a pretty big step in the right direction.
Right.
As I said, the game still needs some more content. There's still some quality of life that needs to be had. Like stash space and inventory management is still crap. To be honest, it's better, but it's still crap.
Yeah.
Like
it's not there.
Your inventory gets filled up with junk way too quickly still, and the aspects system is just like dog shit. They need to rework that completely. Like. Because in the end game, you just keep looking for the same aspects over and over, and every time you get an upgrade, you need another version of that same like aspect. And if you don't get like the high roll, it's just like it's annoying, and the aspects take up so much space in your inventory and stash, and it's just like they need to rework that system. It's crap. It's horrible. Like
but
so
directionally speaking, they're going in the right path.
Big step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Definitely, I agree.
Still work to be done, but this was a really good patch, and much better season than season 1 as well. From what it sounds like, again, I haven't really played it, but
you should. You'll. I know you will.
I probably will. I probably will. I just want to finish up my sword.
I get it. It's fun though. I think you'll definitely want to jump in. I don't
know if I'm gonna play Necro or Druid. Necro seems pretty good.
Necro's so good.
I kind of want to play like blood. I kind of want to play like a blood and minion Necro.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Just be sure to get the tendrils ability because it's still stupidly
Corpse
strong.
Tendrils, yeah.
Corpse tendrils is still stupidly strong. Anyway. I don't know. Outside Diablo, like, I mean, been playing Dead Space still.
Yeah.
Still enjoying it. It still feels fresh enough where I'm like, okay, like, I still find some unexpected things that happen in the game, so I've been good with that. Very impressed with that game. Very impressed with the guns, by the way. The plasma cutter is always good, but man, I know that game's been out for a while, but they did a really good job of balancing out those guns to make some of them actually useful. It's been great. So I've been able to experiment, and it's been very fun experimenting. And then outside of those two, that's really about it. Like I've been just wanting to play Diablo and that, frankly, for the most part recently. And I have some other games that I've been playing, but mostly I've been streaming with other people those games. So that's about it for me.
Yeah, I've been before the Diablo season came out, so like over the weekend after I finished Baldur's Gate, I started Tales of Arise
Yeah,
again.
I saw that.
I got past the first region.
Yep.
I'm in the second region now, but
Oh, yeah.
since the Diablo season came out, I haven't played that. I've
Yeah.
just been playing Diablo, so
Yeah.
I'll probably get back to it once I finish what I want to do with Diablo or whatever. So
definitely. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I mean, went through.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it was short. It was a short news day, so
maybe
we talked quite a while on Diablo, but
no, we did.
I think
we did.
That's about it.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some Twitch drama next week. I'm keeping my eye on it. I'm like, okay, what's the drama going to be? There's going to be drama. What is it? So far there hasn't been anything yet on that front. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess if you're comfortable, we can call it here. We appreciate everyone who came by and said hi, and we will be hopefully doing the videos a little bit faster this week. I mean, it's a shorter podcast, so the videos will be easier.
Yeah.
And we'll see y'all next week. And hopefully we'll get maybe a little bit more news, more Twitch news, and I'll be able to talk about Stream Together maybe at that time, and we'll potentially have more to talk about for Diablo again. Yeah. So I'll do it. Thanks everyone for coming by. See you later.
Sounds good.